In the mid-22nd century, the interstellar ship Degasi is detouring through the 4546 system when disaster strikes. Degasi was a medium-sized ship that was owned and operated by the Torgal Corporation, a small clan-corp of the Mongolian Independent States. The Torgal Corporation was by no means massive, but it did have plenty of experience hauling materials across space, and talks were even being made of the company constructing a brand new phasegate. At the head of it all was Paul Torgal, who became the company's CEO following his mother's retirement. Often traveling with a skeleton crew, Paul was well known for his ability to make impulsive but profitable decisions. For the corporation's next mission, Paul planned to accompany his son Bart as they traveled to a new deep space station, where Bart would serve as chief operating officer for the next 5 years. The Degasi was selected for the mission, and the crew was stripped down to just 6 members as a result of the seemingly simple task at hand. For a while, the mission went quite well, and the ship was making good time. The crew were never distressed, and nothing was out of the ordinary until Paul observed a planet in the 4546 system. The object in question was planet 4546b, a near Earth-sized terrestrial planet which appeared to contain a liquid ocean. Knowing that these types of planets were the most likely to contain life, Paul makes the decision to detour and investigate up close. Upon reaching the planet's orbit, the Degasi is struck by a massive laser, sending it hurtling towards the planet's surface. Fortunately, the ship's structure remains intact, and Paul is able to execute an emergency water landing. Paul is relieved to discover that his son is alive, but 3 of the other crew members were not so lucky. The only other survivor is Marguerite Maida, the experienced mercenary hired by Paul to defend the vessel from pirate attacks. Knowing that the ship will soon sink, the 3 survivors board a life pod and float off into the unknown.
Chief's log, 5 weeks since the crash. The only other survivors are my son, Bart, and Maida, the cut-price mercenary I commissioned for the journey. After days drifting in the life pod, rain hammering on the roof, the weather cleared and we washed up here. I had Maida salvage the Degasi wreck, set Bart to finding us a stable source of food. His education is paying off sooner than I'd anticipated. Our only problem is Maida. She says the weather's going to turn. I say she's finding excuses to risk our lives. I imagine she's not gonna weaken her life without a physical altercation, and she's itching for a fight. In every judgment she makes, things go from bad to worse. If she had my experience, she'd have more faith. Humans have spent millennia specializing in how to shackle nature to our will. This planet won't cause us any new problems.
After several days, the trio can't believe their luck as they exit their life pod onto dry land. The island provides momentary food and safety, and the survivors work diligently, using salvaged materials from the Degasi to construct a main habitat, alongside 2 smaller observatories over the course of several weeks. Things are going quite well, but problems start to arise a little after a month into their journey.
This island is a godsend. Look out of the window. No predators, fresh food.
No building materials, nothing left of the ship, and your kid says we're gonna starve without more grow beds. Speak up, kid.
It's true, Father. The natural growth rates are too slow to keep supporting us.
All I'm saying is ocean's got us surrounded. No use hiding. Sooner or later, we'll get our feet wet.
The rest of your life may have been a fight, Maida, but I've made my decision. You want to forfeit your emergency pay to take a swim? Go ahead.
Believe me, I'm thinking on it.
As the weeks went by, Bart began to realize that the group was consuming food faster than they could regrow it. To make matters worse, what little remained of the Degasi had either sunk or been carried off by the current, leaving them with almost no materials to speak of. This results in tensions between Paul and Marguerite, as the latter expresses a desire to relocate. Not ready to give up on the island just yet, Paul works with Bart and Marguerite to construct a much larger farm on the other side of the island. While clearing some land for the grow beds, Marguerite discovers a purple tablet, half buried in the ground, and quickly takes it back to base for investigation.
What is that thing?
I don't know. I found it outside in the sand.
Part of another ship?
None I've ever seen.
It's not even scratched.
Don't fool around with it. It might be worth something.
Stand down, Chief. If it were gonna crumble to dust, it would have done so when I picked it up.
It's glowing.
We're not the first people to come to this planet.
People. Maybe. Could be aliens. Could be the damn sea monsters for all we know. One thing for sure, we ain't gonna find out by staying here.
The discovery fascinates the group, but without much to go off of, they're forced to put it aside while they finish the farm. Finally, after a month and a half of battling starvation, the trio managed to establish a reliable supply of food. Things were looking good, but the weather had other plans. Marguerite's fears were realized when, after over a month and a half of clear weather, the torrential downpours returned, this time even worse than before. The food security that the group had worked so hard to achieve was in jeopardy, as excess water threatened to flood the grow beds and kill all of their crops.
Son, I said wait for the storm to pass. Your life's more valuable to me than a plant patch.
You stopped being in charge when the ship you were captaining sunk.
I'll stop being in charge when you take charge of yourself.
Say, Chief. Chief,
What?
you know how to drain those grow beds of 40 tons of stormwater? Or how to conjure food from the air?
I know how to prioritize.
I'm just saying, if that's so, what's your boy's life worth to you today? If tomorrow you're gonna be so hungry you start wondering what he tastes like, let him go deal with the plants.
Son, go deal with the plants.
Bart, Torgal has disembarked the habitat.
Interfere with my family again, and when rescue arrives, I will leave you here. Do you understand me?
No rescue coming, Chief. Not in time. And no staying here neither. This rain keeps falling, sooner or later this place will be buried. Only choice we got is whether to get buried with it.
In addition to their food concerns, the rainfall threatened to create another problem. Large amounts of rainfall onto already dry soils have the tendency to raise the water table, creating ideal conditions for landslides. Not long after, a massive section of rock and earth gave way, crashing down the mountainside into their base. Fortunately, no one is hurt, but the group are forced to relocate to one of the mountaintop observatories. The conditions here aren't great, and the long, slippery path back down the mountain makes tending to the crops an extremely dangerous affair. Eventually, it all becomes too much, and Marguerite decides to confront Paul.
You see, Chief, you brought us to this sodden planet. Told us we'd see a lush payday. Now what do we got some 6 weeks later? A dead crew, a habitat that's half buried, food washed away.
I suppose the executive decisions would be better left to someone with your extensive experience of hitting people in the face.
I know enough not to take unscheduled detours to uncharted planets. That's something you don't want to learn the hard way.
Easy to judge a decision in hindsight. Harder to come up with a plan of your own.
Got one already. We take what we can carry and hunker down in a cave somewhere. I scouted a site, a couple 100 meters deep, lots of metal deposits.
How do you imagine we'd live?
With ready access to building materials, like damn queens, a couple of water filters, a bioreactor, fresh fish. But Chief, we'll eat seaweed salad and drink our own urine if that's what it takes. All that matters is, do you got something better?
Send the coordinates to my PDA. I'll review your proposal.
Following the events of the previous week, Paul is finally convinced that they cannot stay on the island. After reviewing Marguerite's proposal, the three craft diving gear, grab what materials they can, and head for the southernmost Jelly Shroom cave entrance. Real quick, if you're enjoying the video, would you consider subscribing? It helps me out so much, and your support never goes unnoticed. Alright, back to the video. The trio construct their new base, one notably larger than the first three, along with a few small outposts across the cave system. Paul takes longer to adjust to the new environment, but Bart welcomes the change, being able to get up close to the alien life forms.
I thought it might get claustrophobic living underwater. Father feels it is. He'd tell me it was childish, but I stare out the window and sometimes I think how lucky I am to see this world up close. Back on the island, I wouldn't have believed the creatures that live down here. The fish, they glow. There's one that's 90% eyeball. Snakes twice the length of a habitat compartment. Certainly, it's not all friendly. Most of the plant life is toxic. I learned that the hard way. But I've managed to coax some marble melons into growing indoors. And when they don't cover our dietary needs, well, we eat the fish themselves. It's a bit gross, but it's nothing they wouldn't do. I've been attempting to document my findings. Father approves. He says understanding is power, that the more we know about this planet, the more we can use it to our advantage. I'm just doing it because it's fun. It's not easy without proper equipment and network access, but the old-fashioned way, observing, taking notes, testing theories, shows me the world in a way a spectroscopic analysis never could.
Bart continues his research, developing theories and analyzing the environment around them. He begins to run low on certain materials, and due to his father's insistence that he not leave the habitat, Bart turns to Marguerite for help.
Something incredible just happened. Since we're down here, I had this plan to build equipment and study the life forms we were encountering, but I didn't have enough enameled glass. So, I started looking for a natural substrate that would strengthen the glass we have, and those stalker teeth we've been finding fit the bill. Only, well, we needed more. That's when Marguerite got interested. She actually listened to me, more than I can say for father, and I worked up the courage to talk about my more tentative theories. When I told her they were attracted to metal deposits, that their teeth get dislodged when they pick them up, her eyes narrowed and she dashed out of the room. 3 hours later, she came back, her pack loaded down with stalker teeth. I asked her about it, and she shrugged and said my theories were good. Said she had the meeting out of the palm of her hand. I think she meant it literally. She is incredible. She went out to the kelp forest armed with just a heat blade and went fin to fin with a pack of stalkers. On the one hand, that is the coolest thing I have ever heard. On the other, I hope the stalkers didn't come off worse than Marguerite did. She had a huge gash on her forearm. I don't think things went as smoothly as she made out. And what's the point in surviving here if we have to kill everything that makes it so wonderful? I wish I knew more about these animals, but Father won't let me leave the habitat. Maybe with all this glass, we could build a containment unit and get up close to them.
Bart uses the enameled glass to construct the base's observatory, and continues performing environmental scans. During one of these scans, Bart detects what is now believed to be the Lost River laboratory cache. He is quick to inform Marguerite, but before they can investigate further, the group encounters a new problem. The trio are shocked to discover water leaking through the hull one morning. Likely due to the base's rushed construction, the leak proves difficult to track down and almost impossible to fix. The water can be drained out, but this is a slow, energy-consuming process, and most other tasks have to be put on hold. During all of this, Marguerite begins to do some thinking about the events that led to them crashing in the first place. If something on the planet had shot down the Degasi, who's to say it wouldn't do the same to a rescue ship? Combine that with Bart's discovery in the hull leak, and Marguerite has all the reasoning she needs to convince Paul to go even deeper.
We're already 200 meters below sea level. You want to go deeper?
Look around us, Chief. Water leaking through the hull, water outside the hatch. We're drowning real slow. If rescue arrives, whatever shot us down, it's gonna do it again and again until it's shut off. You see an off switch around here, Chief?
Why would it any more likely be half a kilometer down?
Your kid found something on the scanner. There's something down there. Something that shouldn't be.
You're mad.
I'm going all the same, and I've an idea you two are gonna follow. But if you do, be mindful. Your authority stopped at sea level.
Frustrated by Paul's response, Marguerite begins making plans to leave on her own, stockpiling materials and food supplies. As much as she doesn't want to abandon Bart, she knows their only hope of rescue is stopping whatever shot down the Degasi, and going deeper is the group's only chance at doing so.
These conniving corporate bourgeois, inbred, incompetent, self-absorbed jerks don't have a damn clue. The kid's not so bad. He's even useful. But I swear, everything that comes out of his father's idiot face is a narcissistic lie. He wants to stay in this cave, his problem. I'm the one doing the heavy lifting. When sea monsters are hunting you, you don't hide. You hunt the sea monsters. Then you build a bigger boat out of sea monster bones and you hunt bigger monsters. Keep going until there aren't any monsters left to hunt you. I'm going deeper. I'm gonna find what shot us down and I'm gonna tear its damn heart out. I've started the prep work. The kids taught me how to make enameled glass. I've started stockpiling metal ores to build myself a sea moth. I'll raid the indoor grow beds before I leave.
Meanwhile, the decision on what to do weighs heavily on Paul's mind. On one hand, the idea of Marguerite leading the group seems dangerous and appalling. On the other hand, he knows they cannot hope for rescue if they can't even figure out what shot them down in the first place.
You know what Maida told me today? She wants to build a habitat 500 meters below sea level, more than a kilometer northeast of here. And she needs Bart and I to do it. She's got it into her head that she can save us if she just acts recklessly enough. But I've hauled Star Wars to Neptune, Plasteel to the Federation. This family operates 9 different mining colonies across the Ariadne Arm. Maida thinks she's better suited to lead. Her contract still says otherwise. But I just cannot damn well tell whether it's the stupidest idea I ever heard, or my only hope. I turned 80 years old last week. I thought I had another 80 in me, but marooned on this planet, there's no swapping out of my liver when the old one fails. Here, I'm mortal. And Maida is useful. So, it's my responsibility to make a decision. Return to the island and hope whatever knocked the Degasi out of the sky won't do the same to the rescue ship. Or take us deeper in search of answers. And all the while be hoping old age gets me before the sea monsters do.
Eventually, Paul decides that staying in the cave isn't doing them any favors. So for the second time, the group packs up their things and sets out toward a new location. The dangerous fauna found in the deep Grand Reef displeases Paul, who believes this to be needlessly risky. However, they discover an orange tablet in the seabed nearby, which somewhat confirms their suspicions of the region's importance. Wishing to avoid another leak from rushed construction, This third base was planned extensively, with better foundation supports, an alien containment unit, as well as separate working and living spaces. With everything complete, the group moves into the base, and Bart begins his research. Much to the group's detriment, the fighting between Paul and Marguerite only gets worse, and Bart ends up having to do most of the work himself. To make matters worse, the survivors have been on the planet for several months at this point, and the bacterium is starting to take hold.
Please, stop fighting and listen. We're sick.
What?
How?
You've been coughing, right? Feeling itchy? Blisters?
Yeah.
The biometrics would have warned us if we were sick.
It's something new. It's not in the database.
Come on, then. What's it gonna do? Turn us inside out? Dissolve us into jelly?
It's an alien bacteria. It's everywhere. Every organism on this planet. It's altering our genetic code.
How are the creatures surviving if they're infected?
I don't know yet.
Want me to cut some of them open for you? Find out what makes them tick?
No.
Just tell me what you need, son. Materials, equipment.
Can I have some quiet? I need some time to think.
Following this revelation, finding a cure for the bacterium becomes the group's main priority, and investigating what shut down the Degasi is put on hold. Using this opportunity to get away from Paul, Marguerite offers to go out and collect samples of fauna for Bart to research. These start off small, until Marguerite decides to tow an injured Reaper Leviathan back to their base.
Margaret, Maida has boarded the habitat.
What are you so happy about, Maida?
Say, kid, I brought you something.
Is that a Leviathan outside?
Towed it home on the back of the sub.
You killed that thing?
It's still breathing. I was about to finish the job, but I can stay and chat if you'd like. No? Then make yourself useful and pass me that hardened blade.
Are you out of your mind? You brought that thing here? What if it's not as dead as it looks? What if others come?
Marguerite goes back outside and kills the Reaper, but the damage has already been done. Unbeknownst to Marguerite, a second Reaper began tailing her as she towed the first one back to the base. With its target in sight, the Reaper bears down on the sea base, not being noticed until it is far too late.
I have had it with you risking our lives.
Oh, stow it, Chief. The kid can't kill this disease without fish to study. I'm just bringing him home.
Bart, tell her. Tell her I'm right.
You're both wrong. Marguerite, I can't find out how they resist the bacteria if you slaughter them all.
It ain't always they oblige in coming in alive.
He means you're being reckless.
Father, the outcome's no better if we hole up in here and don't go outside. That we have to find a middle way.
There is no compromise. Not while she's on my sea base.
Your sea base?
I'm going outside.
Bart, Torgal has disembarked the habitat.
Bart, come in. It's dangerous. Damn it, boy. I know you can hear me.
Chief, get off the radio and put on your helmet.
What?
Brace!
The attack completely dislodges one of the base's eye compartments, forcing its occupants to evacuate. Paul begins swimming towards a light near the seafloor, believing it to be Bart, and is almost attacked by the Reaper until Marguerite appears. With a piece of scrap in hand, she begins attacking the beast and is pulled away, never to see her comrades again.
Came out of nowhere. An alien kraken, bigger than a cyclops. Tore a hole clear through the reinforced hull. I barely got my breather in time. I told her. I said others would come. The rupture threw me clear of the habitat, and the monster turned and bore down on me. Just as its tentacles came within reach, Maida appeared out of nowhere. She had a sea glide in one hand, a jagged piece of scrap metal in the other. She meant to butcher that beast or die trying. The last I saw her, she had the metal lodged in its neck as the monster did its best to shake her, contorting off into the darkness. I'm certain she got her wish, one way or another. Then I thought I saw a light deep below me. I hoped maybe Bart had swum clear. I followed it. Now I wonder whether I saw anything at all. Our oxygen is low. The habitat is gone. I can't see the sky. Something surely has the scent of my blood.
Unknown to Paul, his son was currently making his way back up to the floating island. The light Paul had seen was actually from a crab squid, which subsequently ambushed and killed him. Meanwhile, Bart reaches the surface and stops to rest at one of their old observatories. It is here that he records his final voice log.
This is the first time I've seen sunlight in months. After all that time in the deep, I'd been dreaming of it. Now that I'm back here, I'm finding it hard to enjoy alone. Father was right. We should never have left this place. We shouldn't have gone so deep. They do not want us down there. Despite my best efforts, ill health is taking hold of me. The visions are getting worse. Marguerite and Father are now part of the ecosystem of this incredible planet. It's reassuring to know that when I go, I'll join them. Until then, well, there's always the view.
Mourning the loss of his father and believing Marguerite to be dead, Bart essentially gives up hope of getting off the planet alive. However, he still refuses to sit around, waiting to die. Using the last of their materials, Bart travels to the eastern safe shallows, now part of the crash zone, and constructs a final base there. This is where Bart Torgal spends his final weeks, getting to conduct research and experience the beautiful planet's ecosystem one last time. Hey, thanks for making it to the end. Feel free to leave a comment. I love chatting with you guys and hearing your suggestions. Well, that's all from me. I'll see you in the next one.